Good morning, everyone. We are all looking splendid. Welcome. Um, with over 100 years of global experience and decades of being with you in Africa and Ghana, we understand the daily challenges that you face. As your trusted partner, we work with you to drive solutions that solve your most important problems. PwC is tech-led, people-empowered, and we are here today in that same light to explore your hopes and fears. Welcome again, everybody. Let's dive right in. Well, my name is Benny Mojochi. I'm with the strategy team at PwC. Please call me Benny when you see me, everyone does. Let's introduce our country senior partner, Vish, here. Welcome, Vish. Please, the stage is yours. Can we please clap Vish onto the stage?
Thank you. Thank you, Benny, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So mine is very short. We're starting a few minutes late because we were waiting for a few more people to join us, given the traffic this morning, but we're going to get right into it. And thank you all for coming. Like Benny said, my name is Vish Ashabo. I'm the senior partner for PwC here in Ghana. For those of you who have attended some of our events previously, you probably would have heard me say that the reason we do these or hold these events is because we like to use our privileged position, because we do sit in a privileged position in that we engage with businesses, we engage with policymakers. We are, in fact, citizens ourselves, normal citizens ourselves. So with the privileged position that we hold, we have the benefit of being able to gather information, see different perspectives, that we can use to achieve our purpose. Because as Benny said, in PwC, our purpose is to build trust and solve important problems. So when we meet at events like this, the objective really is to put some perspectives and points of view across to you, but it's not a one-way street. We also like to get your thoughts, your input, your feedback, so that together we can shape how things are going, should go, into the future. Today specifically, it's all about the workforce. And so we have put some material together. My encouragement to all of you is that we're not here to lecture you. We're here to engage with you. So we welcome your participation. We look forward to your contributions. Thank you for coming. And I hope you enjoyed the session. With that, I'll hand it back to, I guess, to you, Benny. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Vish. Very importantly, we are not here to lecture you. We are here to get your feedbacks because we are in this together, right? Okay, so we are going to have next our remarks from our partner in consulting and risk services, Winfred King. Please, let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, distinguished guests, partners, and colleagues. All protocols observed. Today, we meet at a time when the world of work is being reshaped by powerful forces. What PwC calls global trends. These are not short-term shifts. They are deep, long-term transformations, remaking economies, societies, and workplaces worldwide. So, what are these megatrends, or what are these global issues? One, climate change. We see climate change with rising temperatures, resource constraints, and extreme disrupting communities. Two, we see these global trends, which is technological disruption. We feel this where AI and automation are redefining how we live, work, and create value. Three, demographic shifts. We experience demographic shifts with aging populations in some regions, youthful workforces in others, and fast changing expectations of how and where people want to work. We also see another global issue, which is fracturing world. We navigate a fracturing world where geopolitical tensions and supply chain vulnerabilities challenge global collaboration and economic stability. Finally, social instability. And we see rising social instability as inequality and trust deficits shape engagement and expectations. So these mega trends or global issues interact and reinforce one another, accelerating change and increase pressure on leaders and teams to rethink how value is created and how work gets done. So today's theme is rewiring the future of work. And we at PwC believes that we can do this through business model reinvention. So with all these global issues that I have highlighted, we believe that we can go back and look at our business model. We need to reinvent our business model. And business model reinvention is just transforming how company creates, delivers, and captures value. Organizations, the future of work isn't just a talent agenda. It is business model agenda. To compete, organizations must move beyond incremental improvement to reinvent. And we believe that to reinvent, organizations must think about the value proposition. What value? What problems, do we want to solve? And that problem, who are we solving that for? And what experience do we have to solve that problem? Is it human-led? Is it tech-powered? We also believe that to address these mega issues or trends, we need to look at our revenue model. Where are we going to grow from? Or in terms of revenue, where are we going to get that from? Is it data-enabled services? Is it platforms? Do we need to look at our ecosystem networks? Thirdly, I think we've lost. Okay. The third model is to look at our cost model. And our cost model is being shaped by automation, cloud, and AI. And this is what is reshaping our cost model. Finally, we also believe that to address these issues, we need to look at our operating model. How we organize talent, workflows, governance, and technology to deliver at pace, safely, and at scale. So we believe that business model reinvention, we need to look at all these four models, given the issues that we face globally. So in summary, rewiring the future of work means we need to reinvent our value proposition. We need to look at our revenue model. We need to look at our cost model. And finally, our operating model. Change is here. And it's now a reality. Change is here. AI is no longer a future concept. It is a mainstream and transforming customer services, finance, supply chains, infrastructure, health care, and even governance. The question for leaders is not AI is coming or when is AI is coming, but the question for leaders is how do we lead when AI is everywhere? And the question for employees is how do I stay relevant and thrive? Okay, so we've put together a few things that we believe businesses, leaders need to do to stay relevant or thrive, given the megatrends. And we have 6 things we think businesses should look at. And the first is the tax level automation. We believe that leaders need to use tech to automate specific tasks. 2, data-driven decisioning. We also believe that leaders need to increase data analysis to guide decision-making. 3, we need to upskill or reskill. And we believe that business leaders need to ensure this is part of their strategy. 4, leaders or businesses need to ensure AI is being used responsibly. Okay, so we need to ensure tech is fair, is transparent, secure, safe, and that is ensure users feel safe using it. 5, business leaders need to be agile with their operating models. That is, they should be flexible, adaptive to change their operating model. Finally, business leaders need to have psychological safety. And what that means is we should encourage team members to feel safe, to take risk, to experiment, to learn, to share ideas. And for employees, we have 4 things to do. 1, we should adopt a growth mindset. Learn, unlearn, and relearn. We should build hybrid skill sets, technical literacy, creativity, judgment, and empathy. 3, employees, we should work with AI, not against it. We should master prompts, workflow design, and quality assurance. And finally, employees should strengthen digital confidence. They should use data skills and they should adapt to it. The future belongs to those who turn AI from a threat into a partner. So, in conclusion, the future of work will be shaped by AI and the megatrends. The real question is how prepared we are to reinvent our business models, not just our processes. At PwC, we believe the future is human-led and tech-powered. Organizations thrive when their people thrive. With the right strategy, the right technology, the right governance, and the right workforce capabilities, AI can unlock extraordinary potential. I look forward to the conversations and insights today's discussion will spark. Thank you.
Thank you, Winfred. And my takeaway is, I hope it's yours too. Winfred says that we have to move from incremental changes to reinvention. And to do that, it takes a lot. And that brings a lot of requirements on us as individuals, on us as entrepreneurs, on us as businesses, and we are here to support you as PwC. Okay, time for the main thing. I would gladly do the handing over to our workforce and transformation lead. He has 22 years of experience in culture and change management, organizational design, leadership development, the full bouquet of HR consulting services. David has been through the mill, and trust me, would be in good hands. David, please, the stage is yours.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Vish. Thank you, Winfred. Thank you, Benny. My job is very simple. I'm to share with you what the key findings of the PwC hopes and fears are. I got a question. Somebody asked me, why hopes and fears? PwC likely didn't intend. But the reason we call it hopes and fears is that future is now, and in that future, there's a lot of concern among staff, business leaders, as to what that future holds. But then, a lot of the people within the ecosystem, both business leaders and staff, have great excitement about the future. So in as much as there are fears and concerns, there are also a lot of excitement, optimism. That is why our research is titled Hopes and Fears. This is a survey we conduct on annual basis, and I'm excited to share with you the insights from there. So, just to share with you some baseline related issues, as I mentioned, the survey is done globally. But our emphasis today is around the Africa specific highlight. Across the world, we had feedback from employees, close to 50,000 employees across 48 countries in 28 sectors. And across Africa, there are 5 countries that took part in the survey. And those countries are Algeria, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, and South Africa. The survey happened between the 7th of July to 18th of last year, and we launched the report in November 2025. What did we ask from employees or the survey participants? We asked them about the pride they have with respect to their jobs, whether they are excited around their jobs, and how willing they are to invest far beyond the regular, the ordinary. Once we went out, we got data, and our emphasis was around how factors influence motivation. We know that for every organization, as we always say, the staff are the most important resources. But how do we inspire them, or what inspires them? We want to know, because that is important as far as the future is concerned. And following the gathering of the data, we analyze and assess how leadership, trust, alignment, and psychological safety actually influence whether or not our staff are motivated. These slides just show the demographics around who took part in the survey. And you see that a lot of the participation came from staff between 29 years and 44 years. We have here Africa, 44% of the participants fall in that category. And then we have still Africa Gen Zs, staff between 18 years and 28 years, 29% of the participants. Then we have the 45 to 60 years category, what we normally call the Gen X. In Africa, 24% of the respondents constitute or come from that category. We have some few people within 60 to 79 business leaders, entrepreneurs sort of fall in that. We also looked at gender, and most of our participants in Africa were males, 65% took part in the survey. So that is about the context and where we got our data from, or the voices that are driving the insight we have. From a sector perspective, we have most of the participants coming from the industrial manufacturing sectors, 24%. We have government and public sector, which includes development partners as well. We had 21% from there. Then we have at least 4% and from energy, utilities, and other resources. Let's go on and look at what we found. This screen is sharing us the key messages from the survey. As Winfred said, tech is here, AI is here. And the good news is that from our survey, the usage of AI is rising as compared to last year, 4% up from last year's figures. This year, about 64% of African workers indicated that they use AI in the past 1 year. That is good news. And interestingly, that is above the average from a global perspective. Then we looked at it from daily, weekly, and periodic use. About 70% of our respondents say they use AI on daily basis. The second key major point is that African workers show 15% higher progress in skill building. As Winfred was speaking, he mentioned it is important in order to survive in this day and age that we are able to learn and relearn, i.e., capacity building from a self-driven perspective must be continuous. Very important. African participants also report that 6% or more require or get support from their managers. We are asking ourselves, because we are looking at the work environment, the question there is, to what extent do you get support from your managers in order to deliver your work? To what extent do you get support from your managers from the AI perspective? And we have Africa saying 6% more than the world. The next item is African employees are willing to move on if expectations are not met. We all know that every employee has expectation, and sometimes it is difficult to make a decision as whether you are staying or not. But our survey is saying that from an African perspective, there's a lot of emphasis, preference, and desire that my job is secure, that I'm recognized for the work that I do, that I have opportunity to grow in terms of skills, and that I have great relationship at work. We spend most of our time at work. So the question is the environment great or toxic? And African workers are saying that that relationship in the office actually encourages them. And in as much as we are excited about the soft aspect, money pays the bill. So we've noticed that 45% of African workers are saying they are going to ask for a raise. So business leaders, we've got to pay attention to that. Aside the raise, we are also seeking progression, promotion, and compared to last year, this is an advancement relatively. So as a business leader, be thou ready. We are coming. Then the fourth key message from the survey is that from African perspective, 66% of African employees find work purposeful. That is important. Your work environment, is it just focused on profitability? Is it just focused on how you make the money? Or people within your space find meaning in their work? And that has a lot to do with how we design the work, ensuring that people find significance in the work they do. And we observe 55% of African workers are saying that they trust their leaders, higher 5% above the global figure. And two-thirds, i.e. 66%, find their work meaningful and outperforming the global rate by 10%. Another message from the survey is that workers feel secure, and about 35% believe that their skills will remain relevant in the next 3 years. To be useful to think about that. Research has shown that within 18 months to 2 years, job requirements change. But African employees are confident that their skill will still remain relevant. That is a food for thought across the board. While most workers feel secure about their jobs, In the short term, only 35 believe that skills will remain relevant for the next 3 years. This is a call for focus on development, upskilling, and reskilling. Those are the key messages from our survey. Now we go into some further insight. This page is showing us Africa compared to the world in terms of AI adoption. And we are saying that from African perspective, in 2024, generative AI usage was 42%. And then from African perspective, those who use it infrequently. Then in 2025, the infrequent users came down to 29%. However, you pay attention to the weekly users, 18% as compared to 14% in 2024. And then those who use it daily, we improved from 12% to 17%. That is a good one because the call is that all of us must accept and consider tech and AI as a partner instead of as a threat. So that growth is important. Across the patch, 64% of African workers say that use AI at least in the past 12 months. So we are looking at daily, weekly, and then we are looking at annual. And again, Africa is above global usage. And I ask myself, is it real? And we'll find out from you very soon. Then that is just we mentioned that optimism, excitement, they are very important when it comes to work. And West African, this focus on West African. West African staff, about 50%, 55%, believe that AI will have an impact on their work. From a positive emotion perspective, i.e., excitement and curiosity, West Africa, 55% are quite excited that AI is going to have positive impact. From Africa perspective, 51% are excited, while 56% are curious. From a global level, you still see that the African indicators are still a bit higher compared to the global indicators. Interestingly, we also look at the negative emotions, which is confusion around the impact that AI may have on our work, and then whether people are worried or not. Good news is, in West Africa, excitement is about 55%, and the confusion is 10% in West Africa. From Africa perspective, we have 18% confused, 21% worried. Global is still up there. So on the positive, Africa is reporting right. On the downside of it, the world, of course, is ahead, and we are fine with that. Then this is just to share some ideas around, again, about generations at work. So we are saying that from West Africa perspective, millennials are the least confused about AI's impact on their work compared to the rest of the workforce. This is just to give you some detail around what I just shared at the global level. Okay, so we also found out in terms of Africa and the global as to the manager and executive level, what they envisage the impact will be on staff. Interestingly, the manager category, they are saying that 47% are saying that AI will impact entry-level jobs. AI will impact or reduce entry-level jobs. Senior executive, 56% are saying AI will reduce entry-level job. There appears to be some tension there. Managers and senior executive in terms of how AI will impact work. Then we have little impact or no conflict either way. We have 20% from managers and then 16% from senior executive. Increase entry-level jobs. 30% of managers are saying AI will increase the jobs, and then 29%, almost the same, are saying AI will increase the job. That data is actually aligned to a number of researches that we have looked at. Though there's going to be impact on jobs, technology, AI is also creating a lot of jobs. There's actually a positive net impact as to how work is going to be impacted by technology, AI to be precise. We'll get into that. Now into some predictions. 77% of African workers report higher productivity from AI usage over the past 12 months, whilst 34% expect it to reduce working time in the next 3 years. So we are saying, if I use AI, what is its implication with respect to my work? And we have 78% are saying that, within the last 12 months, are saying that there'll be enhanced creativity. And then we have, within the next 3 years, we are saying creativity will be 70% from creativity perspective. Then we also say my job security. In the last 12 months, the impact, and we have 46%, actually 46 both last 12 months and then next 3 years. Let's look at this quality of my time, the extent to which AI is going to impact that. And we know a lot of workers are talking about work-life balance. And our ambition and excitement is that as we use tech, as we use AI, we have more time to ourselves because we'll be able to do work more quicker, get higher productivity, and we'll be able to also have time for ourselves. The question is whether, from a business leadership perspective, that will be. Then we also ask the relevance of skills. 83% of African workers expect that their skills will stay relevant over the next 3 years. I mentioned this earlier. And we are, how confident are you of job security, even in the space of this AI? And then we have 64% are saying they are extremely confident that their job will be secured, Then when you we also ask the proportion that believe that their current skill will still be relevant. The left side is talking about job security. The right side is talking about the skills I have today. What percentage of it will still be relevant in the next 3 years? And when you put all of this together, so between 51% and 100% are saying that their jobs will still be useful. When you put all of this together, it's 83% of workers believe that more than half their skills will still be relevant. We hope that is not complacency, because if we don't develop, we'll drown. We want to look at now about some of the things that are driving motivation at work. Overall, we observe positive and strategic alignment emerge as the strongest driver of employee motivation across all the factors. So we ask, because as business leaders, we need to know what motivates our teams, and that is what is coming out. In Africa perspective, we have positive mood as the highest. So 74% say that their mood actually is a key driver of their motivation. 74%. And then strategic alignment to work from Africa perspective. So saying that when I get to work and understand what the priorities of the organization is, and I have alignment to that based on my understanding and value congruence, I'm motivated to contribute to the attainment of the organizational goals. So those two items came top. Of course, we also have psychological safety, which is 70% from Africa perspective. How safe are your workers mentally? From this data, it is going to drive motivation. And motivation is very important to employee engagement and productivity. Now, I mentioned earlier about the emotions people feel at work. What are we finding? We noticed that in Africa, 76% report high job satisfaction levels, but many are also experiencing fatigue and being overwhelmed, especially the young generation. From Africa perspective, we see 76% are saying they are satisfied with work. That is important because emotions influence how motivated we are to do work. So to have 76% saying they are satisfied with work, that is important. And we have 72% from Africa perspective saying they're inspired by the work they do. That is also important message for business leaders. However, at the back of that is negative emotions. You know, there is people are overwhelmed by work, people are fatigued. And once negative emotions get into the way, actually motivation can drown. And we need to pay attention to that. Interestingly, we see that the Gen Zs, i.e. 18 to 28%, they are more fatigued. You know, they are more fatigued. And we need to know why that is the case. That the young folks, and they are saying they are more fatigued. What do we do as team leaders? What must we do as team leaders? And they are also saying that they are what? Overwhelmed with their work. There may be some understanding there. A lot of these people have just transited from school into the work environment. Is that the reason they are getting more overwhelmed? As business leaders, what must we do to help so that I can see some expressions in the face of especially the business leaders? Trust is one other factor that is important at work, and we engage to find out to what extent do people trust leadership. And this is what we got. Direct leadership from Africa perspective, 64% of staff are saying they trust their line managers. And then top management, 58% from Africa perspective. Again, you see positive emotions, Africa is still leading. And I ask myself, is this a question of Africa rising again, or there's an issue of misalignment? And our panelists will delve into that. We also want to check the extent to which, still around motivation and work environment, the extent to which communication also impacts, the work environment in terms of relationship. And we observe that from West Africa perspective, 78% are saying they are able to engage openly with their leaders. That is important. There's a lot of drive for speak up. Speak up. If your employees are able to speak up, it is useful. You just need to have ways around how to control that. From a generation perspective, we have Gen X, 67% indicate that yes, they are able to do that. Then we have our millennials, 64%, and then the Gen Zs, the ones who are saying they are usually fatigued, but they're also saying that they are able to speak, and that is good. It means that they are able to engage us for us to understand them and see how we can support them. Okay, again, purpose at work. I mentioned this earlier. So we are saying Africa workers report stronger levels of purpose at work, which highlights leadership and learning opportunities to shape and fulfill and ensure fulfillment around work. My work contributes to my personal growth. From Africa perspective, 74% believe this. And if your employees have this mindset, it is positive because they believe that while they help businesses deliver their priorities, they are also developing, thereby enhancing their marketability. And that is important with respect to work. I find my work meaningful, my career meaningful, 66% from Africa perspective. My work makes positive difference in the world. That goes back to purpose. Do your employees see that the work they do impact beyond you, beyond the office? That purpose is very, very important. Here we are asking about shift. Younger workers in Africa are less enthusiastic about traditional work environment, signaling a need for flexible work models, purpose-driven roles, and career development opportunities. Every organization, your pipeline is the young people. And if these young people are not very sure about the kind of environment we have, you have a case and you have to pay attention to this. And you see that I look forward to going to work. Young people are 74%, and the baby boomers, and then we have the Gen X. They are still excited to go to work. Maybe they are already used to the work environment, and maybe something is chasing them from the house, so they want to go to work. I'm proud of the work. I'm proud of the work that I do. Again, we have the young people, 83%. Then we have millennials, 86%. We have 86% also for Gen X. And then I'm willing to go above and beyond what is required of me. Of course, these guys are old, so they have seen it all. So it's fine. But I still have our Gen X, who are also close to retirement. Oh, a big chance, actually, 45 to 60%. Yes, 82% are saying they are still willing to go beyond and above. And this is where leadership sits. So that is okay. Then what must we do from here? After all the positive emotions, after all our generations at work are saying, what must we do? The anticipated impact of AI, what must we do as those who work in the work environment? It is important to prioritize future-ready talent. Is your workforce ready for this future? It is important that the business leaders are able to answer this question. And if you are an individual, are you upskilling and reskilling to ensure that you make yourself ready? Align talent strategies with emerging domains of growth. HR or workforce leaders can no longer be working business as usual. We must find ourselves at the decision-making table. One way to do that effectively is to understand what are the priorities of our organization and be able to put in place workforce development programs that prepares our workforce toward that. That is very important. And create transparent career pathways on internal mobility. Remember, staff are saying that they are coming to ask for career promotions. That is very important. 2, we need to harness optimism around AI to ensure that we are managing disruption effectively. We are saying integrate AI into workforce strategy. Do you know the gap? Do you know how AI can help you as a business leader, as workforce leader in your organization? And how are you preparing to position your staff, to take advantage? And we need to minimize the disruption that will come, develop strategies to manage the impact that the AI will have on your staff across the patch. Leverage the positive sentiments at the work. There's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of curiosity. Take advantage of that as a business leader. That is very important. Then building trust, psychological safety, and meaningful work environment. As we noted, relationship environment is very important to employees, and it's important that We have a cultural environment that fosters communication, openness, and support and inclusivity. We also need to have a cultural environment that ensures creation of what? It's a position where people can challenge what is not working, people can challenge the status quo and ensure that we enhance how we do things. And psychological safety, deepen psychological safety, especially for underrepresented group. Diversity, inclusion is important. We have to build that into everything we do, even when it comes to capacity building around the office. 5 things as I close. I keep saying that it's important we know who we have, where the future is, and how we'll be able to prepare our people for that. So you need to know your present workforce position, assess your skills, what you have. That gives you an idea as to where you need to go, what you have, and how to bridge the gap. And we are saying that learning budget should no longer be the first to cut. You may just be digging your hole. We are saying pay attention to the learning ecosystem. Culture of innovation, adaptability, continuous improvement is important. Culture is strategy for breakfast, we say. So your culture is very important. We must align our talent strategies with long-term business goals. That is very important. We cannot firefight. We need to look into the future, where the business is going, and prepare accordingly. We are saying champion future ready skills, even from the boardroom. The tone at the top is important to help us reach the goal of making our staff ready for the future. These are some of the areas in case you want to develop now the skills among your staff. AI and automation, low-hanging fruit. Data analysis and literacy, low-hanging fruit. Cloud computing and development operations, very critical. Digital marketing and search engine optimization, cybersecurity, UX and user interface design. All of these, if you want to build tech-related skills, are the places you should be paying attention to. From a soft human skill perspective, emotional intelligence drive performance, especially at the leadership level. Work to build us. Leadership skills, remote collaboration, because we are seeing flexi work. Your staff must be able to effectively do that. Creativity and problem solving is important. Communication and influence will be critical area to pay attention to. Resilience and agility. These are very critical things that we can do right now as business leaders or as employees to develop ourselves to be ready for the future. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Please don't leave. I'll just take a quick moment to acknowledge some of our dignitaries we have here with us. We had some requests of the slides. Please just note that we have them on our PwC socials. So please go onto any of them, you get access to it. Speaking of online, we have some participants online. Please, we are acknowledging you. We would like to hear from you going forward. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, welcome. Okay, so we have with us a renowned HR leader in Ghana. He has been a Deputy Minister of Employment and Social Welfare, a Member of Parliament, Ostengame. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for making time for us. We also have the founder and leader of Strategic HR Professionals Community, Emmanuel Wayome, with us. Yes, welcome. Also, representatives from Global Conference of HR in Africa, Dave Wilson and team. Welcome, Dave. A big welcome also to all organizational and HR leaders that we have here. Thank you so much for making time for us. David, ready? Okay, over to you.
We have now ready for the panel discussion, and we want to call our able panelists. Operation team, please, are you ready to share with us the profile of the panelists?
Darlan is a director and partner at PwC Advisory with over 20 years of experience in leading large-scale organizational and workforce transformations across Africa and globally. His diverse career spans education, military HR and management, SAPS, senior government roles, higher education executive management, and corporate consulting. He holds multiple qualifications in education, leadership, HRD, law, psychology, and governance, and an earned PhD in leadership from Thames International University in Paris. Currently, he leads PwC's organization and workforce capability practice across Africa and has driven major projects in sectors including financial services, mining, energy, telecommunications, and government. Darlan serves as vice chair of the SABPP board, a certified director with the Institute of Directors South Africa, and has been recognized with the SABPP CEO Award in 2022 and an International Business Award in 2024. He is an accredited Master HR Professional, Associate Professor at NWU Business School, and a guest lecturer at several South African universities, and actively contributes to youth job creation initiatives and global workforce transformation forums.
Let's welcome Darlan. Prof, welcome. Please keep clapping as he comes up stage. Thank you, Prof. Please take a seat. Next, we have Operation Team.
Dr. George Smith Graham is the Chief Executive Officer of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. He is an accomplished international consultant and transformational leader with over 3 decades of experience in compensation management, public service reforms, and strategic leadership. He is also a renowned expert in talent management, human capital management, business development, and leadership development. Dr. Smith Graham, who holds a Doctor of Business Administration, is a certified management consultant, a certified international professional manager, a fellow of the International Professional Managers Association UK, and serves as an adjunct professor. He is the founder and chief executive officer of the International Institute for Productivity and Public Management. He is a former board chairman of Universal Merchant Bank, UMB. Dr. Smith Graham has previously held senior leadership positions, including Senior Vice President for Human Capital Management and Administration at Data Bank Financial Services Group, as well as Human Resources Manager at the Forestry Commission of Ghana. He also served as an international consultant to the government of Sierra Leone on the establishment of the Wages and Compensation Commission of Sierra Leone.
So we welcome Dr. Graham. Let's keep clapping as he comes up. Doc, you're welcome. Your seat. Thank you very much. Our audience, we have our distinguished panelists here who are going to share more insight based on their own experiences and what I have put forward or what our survey has found. Prof. Darlan, the message is out there. AI is no longer an issue around the future, it is now. So I want to take your thoughts around how ready Africa is for this AI revolution. Thank you, Dr. Allen.
Thank you very much, David, and a very good morning to all of you. It's such a pleasure to be back in Ghana. Always, when I get off the plane, there's such warmth for people, friendliness, and there's such happiness even when I get into the taxi or whatever, I get into an Uber, whatever. So it's fantastic to be back in your country. I have frequented your country as well, working with some clients in your country, so it's wonderful. I guess I see Vish has stepped out, but to Winfred and to Vish, thank you very much for the opportunity, inviting me to your country. I'm a true African, and people ask me, are you Indian? Yes, I'm Indian origin, but never been to India in my life. It's interesting, isn't it? Never been to India. I'm fourth generation Indian in South Africa. So if you know some of the history, the Indians were brought down by the British in terms of working in cane fields and so forth. So I kind of reigned from that regime. But it's such a wonderful opportunity to be here. And maybe just to say, David, thank you very much for highlighting those key points. I will touch on some of that as it relates to the question on AI. Now, let me also try and be practical. I'm not going to put any, and thank you. I think the MC also mentioned it's not about a lecture, certainly not a lecture. And I would like your viewpoints because I think there's intelligence that sits here. And I've traveled quite a bit globally as well, had the wonderful opportunity. In fact, I just arrived back from France, Paris. And the reason why I'm mentioning that to you, there's such a hunger for knowledge of what's happening across Africa. People are intrigued because the one comment I made at the forum where I sat, don't think of Africa as a third world continent. Please don't. Visitors come here from global, they think, you got lovely game reserves, lovely beaches and stuff. I said there's more to Africa. That's the first thing. The second thing, David, and I'm getting to your question a little bit in roundabout, because I think the second point is that we sometimes think that we behind the world, but let me tell you, having traveled globally and traveled across Africa, we are ahead of the game in many respects. You would have seen from the results, as compared to global, our youngsters have started to embrace AI. They're positive about AI. They're excited about AI as compared to what we see in global. And there's various reasons for that. You probably know this better than I do. In 2030, 48% of the population in Africa will be in the category between 18 and 24. Almost half the population of Africa will be in that regime. What does it mean? It means wonderful opportunities. Yes, there's going to be pressure on government from a service delivery, job creation, absolutely. You know, people speak to me and say there's been a pandemic around the whole COVID and what it did to our world. But I say we got an endemic that's very strewn in our society in Africa, and that is unemployment. We got to deal with it. And I don't think it's a government responsibility. I also think businesses like PwC has a responsibility there. There's this whole notion of saying it's not about making money and profit only. It's about your societal license to operate. Your societal license to operate. So if you operate in a continent that has a huge unemployment issue, you might as well come to the party as well. And I'm probably passing the message to my own, I see Vish step out of the room, but it's to PwC as well, including myself. Now, let me get to David's question in terms of AI. There's a lot of experimentation going on AI. Yeah, we hear this AI word, the buzzword every day. We hear it in lectures, we see it in the newspaper, we see it on TV. And I think, David, to answer you, getting close to your question, Africa is very much still in the stage of experimentation with AI. And myself and the good doctor had a chat this morning around productivity and so forth. And the research has shown, now the research I referred to, which I want to make you aware of, and we'll share this with you. We also do a global CEO survey. It's almost giving the perspectives of a CEO in terms of various themes. And I'll touch upon that a little bit later, David. But getting back to the AI conversation. Yes, the youth, and I try to dig a little bit deeper. Why are we so excited, our youth, about AI compared to, not youth, our population as compared to global? It's because we have a very youthful population. I mean, you go on holidays, I sit on the plane and I get fascinated. These youngsters are playing with the touch screen and they're moving things. It just dazzles my mind because I only touched the screen way after university. I didn't know what a touch screen was. But the reason I'm mentioning that to you, they are embracing digital, they're embracing AI much quicker. And I'll touch a little bit about not just businesses, but also how schooling systems need to flex, pivot to make sure they push out graduates that are almost at a risk of coming into jobs that will be nullified, that won't be required. Now, the last point I want to make, and getting close to David's question, is that we've got a lot of work to go. When I say we, so AI, David, in my personal view, having been around Africa and global, AI lifts the floor for you. Yeah, it lifts the floor for you to operate as a business. Leadership and management have a responsibility to raise the ceiling. So AI is not going to make all this difference and wonderful, and there's still studies being known, because in the CEO survey, they said we're using AI across, but we haven't seen the real productivity benefits of it and so forth. And we got to move fast. Using AI for the sake of being fancy and being sexy around using tech, we don't have the luxury of doing that. We need to make sure when we use AI, and it has to be done, David, to answer your question, it's not being done, that we still box into experimentation. We got to leapfrog into an area to say how, and do the impact assessment. How is this AI technology in supply chain, in HR, in finance, how is it helping to increase efficiency, productivity, and performance from a business perspective? It's not happening yet. There is some room for work there, but I certainly see the right energy, the right passion, the right vigor in that direction. And the last point I want to make, and let me be quite practical here, because I don't want to talk consulting talk, I don't want to talk academic. We often talk of AI as if this magic thing. But if I'm a worker and I'm working in, let's take procurement, supply chain, or in finance, it's just a buzzword for me until I see the real benefits of how it makes efficiency and me generating reports quicker, getting inferences, helping me take business decisions, getting me off the mundane task, letting me use my cognitive abilities to think more, to problem solve, and so forth. And often employees don't have that. They haven't made that connection. So as leaders in business, as I see all of you here, we have a responsibility. We have a response in twofold. One, to take out the fear. You saw this fear. And we've got to help our people think. Now, you can't take out the fear and say, AI is coming, it may take your jobs. How do we take the fear away? You've got to break it down into a function and say, in finance, this is what AI has the potential to do. Finance manager, this is how it's going to help you. Similar to HR, similar to any parts of the business. Bring it closer, help them make sense of it. You've got to help them make sense of it to see the benefits of it. Once employees see the benefits of it, they will try to embrace and start to engage with AI. You don't have to tell them to do it. I mean, anybody, if I told you I can make your job easier, what you do in 8 hours, you can do in 2 hours. What did you tell me? Wow. Because I can use my other 6 hours to do more thinking, cognitive stuff as a human is required to do, not a machine, not AI. So let's be careful on that we need to be, as business leaders, help our people make sense of it in their respective functions, not in general AI. People are using AI on a continuous basis at the moment. Sorry, David, I took a little bit longer. I just want to paint the picture first.
That's fine, Prof. Thank you very much. Dr. Graham, yes, let's clap for him. Thank you for that expansive start of the discussion. Dr. Graham, we are in Ghana, of course, part of Africa. From where you sit, is Ghana ready for this revolution?
Thank you very much. I think the survey says it all, that Africa no longer has complexities. we are ready to face the future and ready to face anybody in this world, whether it is be technology or anything. And for me, that is the greatest takeaway I took from the survey. We are ready, the population is ready, the workforce is ready. But as to whether the institutions are ready to harness that, to take advantage of the optimism of the workforce, that I believe is what we need to look at critically. And I believe that as we go along, we'll be looking into the details of it. But for me, I think the workforce is ready, and that is the takeaway. I'm very happy that African workforce is ready for this major change, and it's up to us, the heads of the various institutions, to make sure that we take advantage of this optimism and ensure that we also drive them towards the goal. So that would be my initial comment. Thank you.
Thank you. The workforce is ready. There's a lot of curiosity and excitement around it. Thank you. So the survey, when you look at it again, you notice that business leaders, senior executives, they are saying that yes, there will be impact, actually adverse impact, especially at the entry level, because a lot of jobs at that stage may be or would be automated, quite a high percentage. So the question I have is, as business organizations and as a country, what can we do to ensure that though those regular, typical entry jobs may be adversely impacted or displaced, what can we do to create opportunity for our young people as we prepare them from educational institutions and bring them to a place of work? What can we do as a country? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me first of all say that I'm not one of those who believe that AI is going to eliminate jobs. I don't believe that. I believe there are certain tasks, routine tasks that we do in Africa or at the workplace that AI will affect, and will affect very greatly. Because if you look at our cultural context and we look at the developmental challenges that we have, I see AI rather as coming in to help the African workforce explore the world, explore all the opportunities. But as heads of institution or as institutions, we need to be ready for it. When I was going through the survey, one of the critical things that hit me is that I believe that one of the first things that we need to do as a country or as institutions will be not to identify AI as a technology initiative. For me, it's the first thing. AI should not be taken as a technology initiative, but should be taken as a workforce transformation agenda. Because if we take AI as a workforce transformation agenda, our approach to it will be different. And immediately I believe that from institutional point of view, at a board level, highest level at the board level, we should be able to begin having board committees on AI. We have various committees of the board looking at various aspects. But these are the critical things that we need to do now. We need to have committees. There should be board committees that are looking at AI strategy and how AI will impact the organization and the readiness of the organization to face the future. Is one thing that we need to do. We need to undertake immediately AI disruption analysis. In fact, yesterday, I decided to put a team together in my own office to see how the readiness of the organization. And it is so because we are moving into a new era, the Independent Emolument Commission, and things will need to be different. And if we want things to be different, it means that the institution will need to be ready. And so yesterday I started thinking about putting a team together that will start looking at how disruptive AI can be, or helpful AI can be so far as our operations is concerned. And we need to begin developing AI policies in the various workplaces. Immediately we should be developing, looking at AI, how AI will affect the organizations and everything, and begin developing policies that will link AI to the various strategic goals that we have in the organization. And I believe that once we do this, it will help us a lot. If I take the public sector and some of the challenges in terms of the survey, the public sector is quite unique. because of budgetary constraints in the public sector, things tend to slow down, but the public sector cannot be left behind now, because we are the ones who develop the policies and drive policies for the country. And if we are going to do that, then we cannot be left behind. And so there need to be a deliberate approach by government and by all institutions to ensure that we mainstream AI in all the activities that we undertake. And I think that will be the way forward for us as a country.
Thank you very much. We've got to mainstream AI into everything we do. Prof, because of what you do a lot of work with the institutions of education. And one of the questions we intended to check with Dr. Esiansa, who couldn't make it because of an emergency, is that how can the academia and the industry collaborate in preparing the workforce for this AI? How can we ensure that our curriculum is relevant and is able to provide the foundation we need by the time our young people are coming out of school?
No, excellent question. And I think the whole notion of AI and preparing our youngsters, it has to start. Let me give you an example. In Korea, in India, and even in Japan, they've introduced AI at grade 1. Yeah? We introduce AI university and sometimes not university, only when we enter the job market. Now, there's one notion that we need to, in the education fraternity, and I come from the education fraternity. I've been in basic, I've been in secondary, and then spent a lot of time in tertiary education. And I can tell you there's a misalignment between what industry needs and what universities produce. And I use the word universities inclusive of all the education institutions of higher learning. So David, there has to be a meeting of minds, because universities, and I sit here bold enough to say, they think they ivory, they ivories in terms of sitting on pedestals. As long as I produce knowledgeable graduates, I'm doing my job, I get the subsidy, and I've done well, I've got so many distinctions. But the distinctions on a piece of paper means nothing if you're getting into the job market and you're not relevant, or your skills are no more useful. So producing graduates is one thing. And I had a challenge with some of the professors that are vice principals at universities, because they claim we don't do skills-based thing, it's for vocational, polytechnical college. And we argue we've got an unemployment crisis in the country. You cannot produce a student, because it's irresponsible of you to produce a student who can't find a job. What have you done? You've actually wasted 3 or 4 years of his life if he cannot get employed or she cannot get employed. And you'll see from the results, unlike the global picture, in Africa, people, beside the employment, there's a financial crisis that people are having. They are only 32% of the survey results showed in Africa can afford to save. What does that mean? Only 33% have money left over for saving or for luxury holiday, because all their money goes towards paying accounts. So to answer your question, David, there's a greater need for collaboration between universities and as well as with industry, with business. I also think the competition between institutions need to stop, because we seem to be, universities are competing for subsidies, competing for a piece of the cake. And what happens in that competitive edge, they focus on one type of qualification that they're very renowned and attract all the students. And yet there's some great things happening in the vocational. Now, we lost the sense in polytechnical and vocational schools. Those are skills-based institutions, and this is what our country, our continent needs. If I go to Australia, Australia pays an electrician much more than a doctor. They pay a plumber much more than they pay somebody that's a professional, an attorney. Why? Because they realize we have a skills deficit in terms of artisan skills that are required. So there needs to be the meeting of minds in terms of that. Also, institutions have an equal responsibility. I'm talking to a few large corporates. You know what they're doing? In the telecommunications space, in the financial services, They are creating their own academies. They bring the learners in who know the basics. But now business is moving so fast that you can't crawl, get onboarded, spend the first 3 months finding your feet, finding where the coffee shop is. We don't have that luxury. Business is moving fast. We expect graduates that can hit the road running. So they're creating the whole virtual academies that can immerse them into the business, experiential learning, so they can fast track and contribute effectively to the business. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Graham, any comments on that? The coming together.
Yes, I believe that it's time for the institutions of higher learning to put on their thinking caps. Institutions of higher learning are supposed to be driving policies in government because they are the ones who do the research. And my view is that by now, our higher institutions should be able to position themselves very well, do all the analysis so far as AI is concerned, and begin developing certain skills, curricula that will help the young ones that are coming to the various institutions. When that is happening, you will notice that it will be able to also influence policies that government will develop. So I believe that it is time that the institutions of higher learning don't see the curriculum they develop just for money making, but see it as something that is going to drive policies in government and influencing policies in the countries. That is what I think the institution should be doing.
Thank you. And we all have to be very intentional about this. Yes, so we want to move to issues around the sentiments, as we mentioned earlier. We noticed that there's quite high excitement and curiosity around the future. We also noticed that significantly people are excited and have trust in their leadership at the workplace, which is important because of the relationship factor in motivation. We want to find out from the two of you, what are some of the cultural elements that can ensure that there is either enhancement or sustainability of these positive sentiments in the office or in the workplace around motivation? What can we do as business leaders to ensure that the environment is positive, the environment is supportive, to ensure that our people have the mind to be able to work? Dr. Graham, I want to start from you.
Thank you, Dave. I'm not surprised from the survey that the workforce has a high trust in their leadership. I'm not surprised, especially coming from the African perspective. We all know that for a very long time, recruitment in Africa has not been based on necessary merit, but networks and who you know and other things. So even at the workplace, we look like one big family at the workplace. And because we look at one big family at the workplace, that African relationship thing is there. And so because we still have that relationship, people tend to trust the people they are working with. And because they trust the people they are working with, they feel that, look, there's everything that anything they need, they'll be able to approach their superiors and get it. Now, for me, if you take other parts of the world, they take these things as transactional. These relationships as transactional. But in Africa, it is more relationship, more relational than transactional. And that is why I believe we see that the motivation at the workplace, respect for leadership is very high. And we need to maintain it. First of all, I believe that much as we want to drive productivity and we have to drive productivity, the human being who is working, who we say is the biggest asset of the organization, is very critical. And therefore, we need to make sure that we do an analysis of their skill sets and fit them into the roles that will bring out the best in them. Anytime you identify people and you put them in certain roles, you immediately see a sense of motivation, a sense of belongingness in the work that they do. And I have practical examples even at my workplaces. I just came to the organization, called people to my office, interviewed them, look at their background. I said, no, you don't fit here. You fit more this place that, and immediately I could see the change, the excitement in the work that they are doing. And so these are the things that we need to do as leaders in the organization. Make sure that we don't use that as a basis so that they take advantage of us and relax at the workplaces, but we'll be able to drive productivity, drive performance, drive efficiency in the various organizations. But as we identify them, we also need to be able to upskill them, identify the skill shortages, and begin developing their capacities and their skills to be able to fit into the various areas. There are times that there's an African proverb which says that where the elder can sit and see, the child can stand on the table but will still not see. And so as leaders in the organization, we should even be able to determine certain skill sets that will be required in the future that the younger ones may not even know, and begin developing their capacity in those areas to fit. And once we do that, we'll be able to sustain this high motivation that we have. I'm happy salary was not one of the issues they raised, but I realize that it is because salary influences the mood. And once the salaries are good, their moods will be good. So I believe that is why you take the mood side, it's very high, but salary itself didn't appear as a factor. And I think that is what we need to do, continue encouraging them, identifying their skills gap, developing them to fill the gaps, and even be the one who look at the future and establish the gaps in the future and begin training them to fit into it for the future. And once we do that, all our employees will be happy.
Thank you. Prof. Dylan, one of the key aspects that we noticed is driving motivation is purpose. So as leaders, business leaders, how can you create work environment that touches and make people feel that they are contributing to greater good just beyond their salaries? Purpose-driven work.
No, I think absolutely. I mean, let's be honest. We all come from business, from government. There's so much, and I'm glad my colleague spoke of the salary. If business does not perform well, you don't have enough profits to spread. Okay, and I see lots of nods around. I mean, that's the reality. Money cannot solve it all. It's not good. And if you try and use the money angle, it's short term. I've seen too many examples in big organizations. They go out and get a job, a letter, offer, and they come back and they say, I got a letter, and you say, oh no, it's my key talent. You do a retention bonus, or you do an increase, off-cycle increase. That cannot be perpetuated in a business. I always say when somebody comes to me with a letter of offer, they've already been disengaged. They've communicated, they've accepted, they've gone for interviews, they're already disengaged. If I'm putting money on it, it's putting plaster on a wound that's going to open up again. Yeah? That's my personal view. Now, getting back to the point in terms of, what can leaders do differently? As you move up the corporate ladder, and I learned the hard way, is that your technical skills become less important. Your emotional skills and your EQ becomes much more important. And I've seen great leaders really amplify this, and that's why businesses are so successful. They spend more time with their people than actually with the operation stuff. And I said, well, how is that? Because they empower their people to look after the operations, but they make sure they have the people's back. Now, this whole thing about EVP, employee value proposition, and PwC as well, we're looking at what our value proposition to our employees are. And Winfred is sitting here, he knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because we're not going to throw money at people. It's too short-term, people. Not that we won't give some retention bonus, but it's not going to become the order of the day. You're running a business in a transactional fashion if you're responding in that fashion. So the important thing on that, revisit your EVP. I'm helping organizations, big banks, to look at the EVP. That EVP was outdated, done 10 years ago. Your profile of your workforce has changed. Giving what is it, the one I laugh at? Giving me a gold watch after 20 years service is not what that youngster wants. It's not what they want. It's because your EVP or your policies stipulate. Remember, your policies is developed out of your EVP framework. The policy is outdated. It's not talking to the reality. So my advice to leaders is understand your own organization. What makes your employees tick? And we found it in our business. You know what? I've got a big complement staff that sit across Africa. You know what most of them want? Can anybody, just any guess? Anybody? What do they want beside? We're not talking money. What do they want? Very interesting for me. And we doing this test, this litmus test on a continuous basis. They say I work for a global company as PwC, but I've never been to your London office or your Ghana office. Can't you send me on a 3-month secondment so I can live the experience and learn? So we've embarked on a big program with the UK, not so much a US because we're not sure what Trump's going to do next. But certainly with the UK, even in the Middle East, they've got lots of projects and they want people. And I'm saying, what an opportunity. Remember, everything's paid for. Every month they can fly back. The country will pay for them. What a wonderful opportunity. So we understood that was an area that could make our people tick. And I've already embarked on exercise. I'm sending a few people already on secondment for 3 months, some on 6 months. We've got to take circumstances into consideration. But that's one of the propositions that we want to do. The next thing is you get this millennials or you got this Gen Z coming to your business. You know what they like? They like flexibility in terms of how they work. It's more outputs driven. So we've adopted a principle is that if you're a client, you work. If you got a report, we don't need to see you, but we want to see your output. We're going to hold you accountable. Don't overstep the line and drop the ball. I don't need to see you because we work in the real world. And the last point I want to make is that we talk of this thing. How many of you heard, I'm working from home? Yeah? During COVID. I believe there's no such a thing as working from home. Why? You're living at work. Because when you wake up in the morning, you grab your phone, you look at your emails, you're already sending message, that's work there. You're having supper, normally you'll drive in the traffic, listen to music, and enjoy the drive. There's no time for that if you're working at home. You're living at work. Because there you're having your sandwich and you're on the email, you're on a WhatsApp here. So COVID and the post-COVID world, people are living at work rather than working from home.
Thank you very much. I want to give opportunity to our audience in the room for questions for our panelists and also our online participants. Operation team, if there are any questions there, please let us know so that we can attend to them. Now, I want to hear from the room if there are any questions for our panelists or comments. Honorable Austin. Okay, there are a few hands. Comments or questions before we wrap up?
Thank you. Thank you.
Please introduce yourself, then we can go on quickly.
Thank you. I thought I've been introduced already by my sister.
Yes.
So thank you. I appreciate the gallant work, Winfred. Thank you. I listened to you. And David, I can see you've grown a gray hair. It's a long time since I've seen you. That's part of my contribution.
Thank you, Honorable.
I haven't listened to all of you and my very good friends, the panelists. I think that we have to take another look at what we meant by AI. You know, I am an employer. I have workers, and because we are consultants and we try to help people, one or two of my staff members like to go into the AI and fish out things. It's a collection of everything you are saying here that have been put together for you and retrieved. So people copy and paste before the gravel's in it. And I don't copy. I don't like stressing myself into AI, maybe because I was born in Gold Coast. I form part of my two people, myself and one of the professors, who were tasked to develop a new MPhil program for those doing labor studies at Cape Coast University. And when we finished, I realized that the books and things that we are using to teach, they are all anachronistic. They are old, they are junks. We need to think twice. AI, I did appreciative inquiry, so I'm an AI person, but not the AI that is being, being pushed around today. It's about value addition. AI is just about value addition. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not taking a position, I'm a mediator. So all I want to say is that AI is about value addition. Therefore, whatever we want to do, and I repeat, whatever we want to do, if you don't add value to it in the design of your policies and your strategies and implementation plan, if you don't add value, just forget about it. Having said so, I have a question for the panelists. This whole business of people's mood in Africa being elevated, and also a lot of trust being built around leadership. I see semblance of it also in Ghana, not as deep as the survey is talking about, because the level of mistrust and misalignment is so huge in Ghana here, we all know. And so question, looking at the example you've said about the Far East, I study a lot in Japan. And so my point of view is this. What would be purpose? I want to use the 4 Ps. The purpose of establishing any business at all, be it small scale, be it large scale, be it government, whatever it is. What the purpose? 2, so far, what progress have we made to date? And next is, what real potential do we have in getting the people prepared to be able to think on their feet, to be able to reason beyond familiar boundaries, so that they don't go and be copying AI things and pasting. Well, people must be able to think. We have been given brains to think. And so we are abandoning the thinking capacity into copying people's ideas and owning it. Ownership is a very big business. And so you cannot just be talking about that without ensuring that the people can reason and make maximum use of the potential in them. And talking about the skill that you talk about, it's all dovetailed into the potential. Because any employer that will not upskill and rejuvenate the people in skill development, which is more of benefit to some of them than even money. And lastly, about partnership. Therefore, talking about the 4 Ps that way, the purpose of establishing whichever organization there is, what progress you have been making and have made so far, what are the potentials that are there, and lastly, what kind of partnership, private, public, whichever form, NGOs, what kind of partnership, even with the workers in the establishment, what kind of partnership do we have? If you can help elaborate on this thing for me by way of getting the entirety of the organization ready to move, the purpose, the progress, the potential, and of course, the partnership dovetailed into the survey that have been made so far. Thank you, I'm grateful. I'm sorry for taking your time too.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Any additional question? We'll take 2, then we come to the panelists.
Yeah, I have the mic, so I'll go ahead. My name is Adjoa Van Vicker. I work with the Petroleum Commission as the Director for Human Capital and General Services. And I think your title is very catchy, The Future of Work. As an HR professional, I mean, from the survey, it is clear that in the future, we cannot use the same management approach for the various types of cohorts that we have in the workplace. I'm talking about cohorts, I'm talking about generational cohorts. Clearly, from what you said from the survey, the expectations of Gen Zs are more towards flexibility and mental health issues, etc. Whilst your Generation X and millennials will be looking at, they want structure, they want systems. How do we operationalize this individualized management approach in the workplace, especially in the public service, which dwells a lot more on presenteeism and public accountability? So I guess my question will probably go to Dr. Smith-Graham. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Operation team, we can hear some noise in the background. Can you help us? Okay, let's go on. So I'll start with Dr. Graham. I want you to take the second question, and then we'll ask Dr. Darlan to touch on the first one from Honorable Austin. Dr. Graham, different generations at work.
There is a wrong perception in the public service that in the public service, you can't do anything to anybody. And so people come to work, they can't relax, go around. It's because leadership is weak. The laws we have in the country is strong enough to deal with any lapses, any laissez-faire attitude, any lackadaisical attitude at the workplace. Now, the public service, in my view, does not focus on presenteeism. It is because you don't have the structures in place. If you have an effective performance management system in place in an organization, the person will not come to the organization and just present himself and sit down. If you have a corporate environment where people come to work, they come and sit down, they have nothing doing, it means that the systems in the organization is what is allowing that to happen. And it's the reason why we've started the institution of the performance management system in the public sector very, very aggressively. We are piloting about 21 institutions. I think her institution is one of them, if I'm not mistaken, either her institution or petroleum, one of the petroleum institutions. So put the structures in place. And once you have the structures in place, especially the performance management structures, when somebody comes to work from minute one, the person should know exactly what the person has to do. Yesterday, I realized that there will be the need for a complete overhaul of the schemes of service we have in the public service. Complete overhaul. Because a lot of the schemes of service that we have in the public service are just routine jobs. And those routine jobs, if we don't overhaul them, we'll be overtaken by events with the introduction of AI now in the system. And so look at the structures you have in your organization, review the scheme of service for your organization, review their job roles. And once you do that, I can assure you that when people come to work, they will always be busy at their table and work because they will have something to do. But when the structures are not there, people will tend to relax because of that perception that in the public service, you can't fire me, you can't do anything to me, which is not true anyway, because we don't do our work well, because we don't measure their performance, it becomes difficult to have the basis to fire somebody. But if we measure the performance and people are not doing the right things and we are questioning them, querying them and doing the right thing, you can fire anybody in the public service and they can go anywhere and they won't win. So we need to improve on the systems that we have in the public service. And I believe that once we do that, the Generation Z, Gen Zs, will find themselves and will fit into the organization very well. Flexibility is key. David, surprisingly, in 2008, as a senior vice president for an institution, for a bank, I realized I did an assessment of the organization and about 60% of the workforce were female, aged between 23 and 26. They were getting married, giving birth to children, and so when they come to work, they will be sitting behind their desk, holding their phones, finding out from the house helps how the children are doing, and all that and all that. When I did that, I developed a work from home policy. 2008. It was turned down outrightly by management. Because so far as I was concerned, I had strong enough performance management system in place to measure their performances even while they are home. And therefore, for them to be in traffic, worry about their children, come, stay at the workplace, and with all the struggle, it was rejected. It didn't even take 2 minutes at management. It was shut down. And when COVID came, I said, oh, I'm a prophet after all. So that is what we need to do. When the structures are there, they will fit in very well. And like the survey showed, they like some level of flexibility. Now, they like the flexibility because they are not challenged. Now, they are always fidgeting. They want to have something to do. So what you do is to give them more tasks and more tasks and more tasks. And the more you tax them, you see them always at work, working, and they themselves will not even be talking about flexibility. They will work. But once you don't create the avenue for them that will get them to be thinking, that is where you have a problem. So let's analyze our structures, especially in the public service, and see how we can put in proper and solid performance management system that will be able to track people and what they are doing, and at the end of the day, ensure that the job they are doing is also fulfilling. That is very critical.
Thank you very much. Prof, I want you to take the question, the last platform that responds. Thank you very much. I want to take the question that Honorable posed, how to integrate purpose, progress, partnership, and potential in ensuring that we take advantage of the emotions at work, the positive emotions that we have, observed.
No, thank you very much, David. And sir, thank you very much. I think we don't have all the answers here, but you've kind of educating us on certain things. So thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And also, I think, can I touch, because one of the parts of the question was important around, the AI is good, but you can't replace the human. And in terms of, so let me just touch on that point, because I think that was an important point, sir. I think firstly, we've evolved over times. We had carts, horse and cart, and we moved into steam trains, we moved in electric trains. People evolved over time. There was more jobs being created. We didn't all say the world is coming to an end. We evolve. We natural beings that we kind of find ways, and we need to be quite creative about what are the opportunities that sit. And that needs to tie back to universities, so they teach the right things in terms of what the future holds as well, not what is going to be disappeared. So I think that's the first point. I think you're absolutely spot on around, if AI is not going to make an impact in terms of how I do my job, add value to the business from a productivity and progress, then why, it's just a fancy thing. That's why I made the comment earlier, and I said AI is this buzzword going around. But if you remember, let me say I'm an employee of a big organization. I work in supply chain, or I work in procurement, finance, wherever. If I don't understand what AI can do in making my job, my functions, my tasks more effective, it means nothing. It means nothing. It'll just be this buzzword, AI. And that's where leadership have a responsibility to break it down into nuggets that it can make an impact. So that's the first point. Now you probably, and this is, I'm not disclosing anything private, you've seen in the social media what's happened to, unfortunately, one of our competitor down in Australia, using AI very irresponsibly. I'm not going to mention names, but you can figure that out. It's in the public domain. Got fined huge millions of Australian dollars by government for reports that they created, and they used AI without applying the human eye. Exactly, I see you nodding as well. Haven't applied the human quality check, sanity, this and that. Now, there's a concept in AI called AI hallucination. Yep. I see nods. Some of you have heard of it. When you start to work with AI, and I work with a lot in terms of only way it makes my life easier, that's where I work. Otherwise, I don't want all the funny things about social and stuff. When it goes into hallucination mode, what it does, because it's so desperate to give you an answer, it starts to go into hallucination and fabricate information. So there's a couple of things, and you touched on one, sir. Besides the governance around it is important, and my colleague mentioned that you cannot take everything that comes of AI as the holy truth. We had a case in South Africa. Massive case, went to the Constitutional Court. Guess what? The forensic guys used AI to generate their reports. It went to the court. So they paused for a second and said, let's just check the authenticity of this here. So they had another team to go and do an assurance on this, go check that AI created case studies that never existed. Yeah, AI created case studies that never existed. I'm just giving you two massive big examples where people have become too reliant on AI as the holy truth and not putting the necessary measures in place. So the human mind is absolutely required there. You can use AI as a tool, but not AI to produce your entire outcome. I mean, I would never give a client a report. How can I work with a client? It's unethical. There's no integrity for me to. They can use AI. Why must I give them something that comes out of AI? Well, exactly. I see you nodding again. Absolutely. Now, the human thing is, the secret is we got to find, and the skills that we talk of human, which I can tell you now, no AI is going to take over it. It's the emotional intelligence for you to be able to understand by feeling, touching, seeing very quickly. Yeah, they may do parts of it. Yeah, that's fine. The second part is around the creativity and innovation. AIs are built for particular functions or functions, but not to understand the whole business world at one go. It's built to be unique with algorithms. We got to bring the curiosity and the innovation in there. Very important. And the other part is around the judgment and problem solving. It'll solve a problem for you in finance because it's been built with algorithms, or in your HR, it can't solve all your business problems. That's where the human problem-solving mind comes in. So I'm very much with you, and I agree 100%. And I can give you more examples where I've seen it, even at one university, big university, fabricated PhD, fabricated because AI gave it all this stuff. Now, universities are challenged to build in additional governance to manage that. So I think that's the first part. David, that's the first part. You reminded me of just remind me what the second part was you wanted me to comment on.
More of how to build in the emotions that we have at work. How can we use purpose and potential?
Yeah. No, I got it. Thank you. As you can see, I'm very passionate about what I do. I love what I do.
I'm sure in 1 minute, if you can help us do that.
Sorry?
In 1 minute.
1 minute, okay. The four P's are absolutely relevant. In terms of the purpose, we often see a purpose statement in corporates and so forth, but it means nothing. People haven't, and we spoke of our purpose. Very simple. You can ask anybody at PwC, what's your purpose? Simple. Build trust in society and make a difference there. Okay, make a difference there in society. Solve problems that societies. Yes, we get paid for it. Let me not run away. We've got a business angle to it, yes, but we have to add value, not give them a report. We have to add value to take them to another level, another place. So that's our purpose. It's ingrained in our hearts. Now, from a purpose, you spoke of the 4 Ps, and I love it. I think it starts with the purpose. The only problem is that the purpose sometimes is about the organization and not about the individual. You got to find alignment between the individual and there. And the one thing I'll add to your 4 Ps is the big C. We need to understand what the current culture of the organization, what are the ways of working and behaviors as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we almost at the tail end of it. Our team, any questions from online?
Yes, David. There's a question directed at Dr. Smith Graham. It's from Gideon Sebe. He's asking, how can Ghana implement the use of AI to foster promotion and salary adjustment in the public sector, specifically security agencies in Ghana?
Direct.
That's an interesting question. And we are there. Because it means we've gotten to a stage where salary adjustment is not going to be just you coming and requesting, but it has to be linked to productivity. The AI, as has been explained, if you use it in an amateurish manner or you don't understand it, then you will get the results that you get. But if you build the capacity of the people and they know how to use the AI well, it will be able to engender a certain level of productivity within the public sector. If there are things that are being done and being done manually, and it can be automated to fast track it, you automate it and fast track it. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to do more to be able to achieve what you call greater results. For the security services, as he mentioned, security services nowadays virtually AI. They are using AI to detect where the criminals are hiding, AI to fight the criminals, AI to do so many other things. But what I take from it is that we've gotten to a stage where we are not going to just allow employees come in and just asking for salary increases, as we saw in the survey. But we need to make sure that the increases are linked to productivity. So far as I'm concerned, just as Mr. Sengame said, AI is here to add value to the work that we do. It is here to add value. And so once it is here to add value, if you add value to it and we are able to establish the level of efficiency and productivity and everything, we'll be able to link it to pay as well. And so I think that that is where we've got into the use of AI to improve productivity within the public sector. Because if we don't do that, then it means that we'll be paying people who will not be working as effectively as they are supposed to be working. And we'll be using taxpayers' money to be paying them. And so that is where I think we are now. We are going to use AI. We are going to ensure that there's productivity within the public service. We are going to ensure that people are at least remunerated based on their level of efficiency, productivity, and everything within the public service.
Thank you very much.
Yes, David. Two more questions.
Okay.
Okay, there's one from Yusuf Mohammed. He's asking, how can the various schools and universities incorporate AI into teaching and learning? And do you think it will be advisable the universities will have full program on responsible AI use? Secondly, from Charles Loco, he is asking, how do you see AI helping or complicating judgments in each field, or more specifically in HR? Yes.
I want to start with Dr. Reham, and then with the first question. Then the second question, Prof will take care of that for us. Okay.
Responsible AI in the universities. I think some universities are already doing that. And I believe that it is time for us to introduce AI into our curriculum right from the probably even primary basic schools, but with guidance. Because the technology is here. Whether you like it or not, whether you teach it or not, your children will find a way of learning it. And so it is important that we incorporate it into our curriculum right from the basic level, so that the children will know how to use it ethically. And once they know how to use it ethically, they'll be able to use it productively. Because the absence of that will rather lead into the unethical use of AI and all the things that some of the Gen Zs are using AI now. So I believe that it is time for the institutions of higher learning to incorporate it, not only institutions, even from the basic schools. I believe that we need to start introducing AI in the basic school, so that as a child grows up, the child will be able to know the ethical use of AI. And I'm sure that we are not ending at AI. Probably with the introduction of AI in the basic schools, they will also come up with something far greater than what we have today as artificial intelligence. So that is what I think that the universities should, and even the basic schools should introduce it from the beginning. But it means that we need lecturers and we need teachers who are competent in that area. And so as a policy decision, we need to build the capacity of lecturers and teachers who can fit and teach the AI ethically in the various schools. And that is what I think need to be done at the policy level.
Thank you very much. Prof, whilst you wrap up for us, can you also respond to the question? Whilst you provide your closing comments.
Hello, David. I think there's one last question. on the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. One last one.
Okay. Let's
Thank you very much, and good morning. It's good to see my former lecturer, Honorable Game, and also my former boss, Dr. Smith Graham. My name is Felicia. I work with an organization called the Climate Vulnerable Forum, NV20. I haven't had the chance to look at the survey because unfortunately I couldn't come in early. But my question is, you're looking at the hopes and fears, and we've talked about what AI potentially could offer or what it could do in the world of work. I want to find out from PwC whether you've considered some sort of an AI audit or AI assessment for organizations, because the whole world of AI seems all over the place. But in actual implementation or at work, what would it take for organizations, especially having different generations, to make that transformative shift, to know exactly how to use this tool in a holistic manner at work so that we become more efficient where we work? I'll give an example. I work in a place where the human resource is very limited in terms of numbers. So you have to do a lot of things yourself. And I have the story where and some screening work had to be done in terms of recruitment, several of them. We didn't have a tool, to do the screening. And my young 15-year-old says, oh, you can go online. There's a way to use, instead of doing it manually, you can just go online and get a screening tool to help. Within, a few minutes, it was done. Of course, after that, I needed to sit and look at it and make sure that it's fully aligned or it's correct. My question is, we're having different generations who will soon be entering the world of work. And for the older ones, it becomes literally, important to understand the different tools that we can employ or the ideas that the younger ones can bring up to enhance workplace efficiency. So what are your thoughts around some of these things? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Without breaking protocol, first of all, I'll ask Dylan to respond to that. I want to hear from our tech lead. We have Richard here, who is our tech lead, can also provide some insights around that. So, okay, let me start from Richard first. In terms of the AI audit, yes, we do. Richard.
Yeah, David, just a quick one, yeah. So in PwC now, we've developed an AI assessment that we can do for the organization. What it does is that it gives you an idea as to where you are, where you need to go to, and how you intend to grow your business going forward. So, if you get to us, we're able to assist you. Yeah, thank you.
We'll actually come to you.
So we'll find you after.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Dylan, from a generation perspective, what can we do?
It's nice to see PwC doing some business here as well while we deliberate on this. Now, I think very quickly, it was Felicia that mentioned that, was it Felicia?
Yes, Felicia.
Okay, lovely. I think a very, and it goes back to the comment I made. You're using audit as one example. Go to every discipline in the business and understand what AI can do or can't do or where AI can. I'll take HR as a quick example, David. HR, we looked at the entire value chain of HR not just from a screening, but from developing policies, from being able to extract from a CVs, being able to pull out key things that you can compare candidate A with B. We developed a bot to do the interactive interview and stuff effectively. So I'm giving you some examples of what you need to do. You need to go to the various disciplines, functions, and look what the art of the possible is that you can use AI, because it frees up your people with transactional stuff and gets them to do more the thinking and decision making there. So that's my quick comment. I think on the other one I don't want to ignore, I think there's Mohammed, if I'm not sure it's Mohammed or somebody spoke of the judgment, the question around judgment. Yeah. Can I just quickly comment on that, Dave?
Okay.
I just don't want to ignore the AI in terms of will AI start to complicate the whole notion of judgment, the human judgment? Yes, it can. But that's where we bring in the human qualities about not taking AI to make the final judgments for you. AI can provide the insights, the inferences, the data-rich stuff to you and stuff. And you got to apply another lens on it. You got to apply a lens. And I'll give you a very quick example. If AI has been developed to track people late coming, how many times they came late, how many meetings they missed, that, whatever, it'll give you a result that this person is been late, you should probably want to fire him, as an example. But the human person comes in to say, hang on, when they have an interview or one-on-one, they look at the candidate and say, hang on, this person has been taking public transport and waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get to work every day, not realizing the circumstance. And he's got his mom that's got cancer, he needs to get medication, whatever the case may be. AI doesn't apply the nuances. It's the human that applies the nuances. It's the human that looks into those other salient factors. So that's the point. David, I know you will be rushing on time. What else do you want me to do in terms of the closure on?
Just closure. PwC does quite a number of these thought leadership programs. Aside the hopes and fear, we just finished our CEO survey as well. I want to find out if there are any convergence in terms of the findings as we wrap up. Because the intent of this session is to share with you what we have done from the hopes and fears. And by mid-year, we'll be starting hopes and fear for 2026. We'll be inviting organizations from Ghana to participate in it. But for the CEO one, Ghana has participated. So we want to hear some highlights in terms of the convergence on the things that is coming from our service. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And David, thank you for allowing the opportunity. And Fish, I'm sorry, it's good just to touch on the CEO survey and how it juxtaposes with what's coming out in terms of, and there's certain areas very quickly to tell you there's convergence in thinking from what CEOs are saying on certain themes as compared to what's coming from the hopes and fears. But in certain areas, there's divergence. So David, with the interest of time, I'll touch just on a few. I think we've been talking a lot on AI. So what seem to be the sentiments on AI? Business leaders as CEOs do believe that AI is to transform their business. Okay. They feel that they've done a lot. Now, this is a bit of convergence and divergence because you invest in AI, because you're spending money on AI, it doesn't mean it's adding to the business efficiencies and productivity and performance. It doesn't mean that. So employees are a little bit saying, we're trying new parts of AI, but there isn't that tandem or linking in terms of, has it proven to show increase in productivity? It's still, because we're very much in experimentation mode, as I said. So that's the one thing. In terms of the skills shortage, there was a very positive thing that came from AI, on the skills, that we have the skills and we're ready for the next 3 years. There's a bit of divergence there. I'll tell you why, David, that coming from the CEO survey. I like the optimism from an African perspective, but sometimes there's false optimism we must be careful of. Okay, false optimism. CEOs believe the way the rapid changes are happening from where they sit from a helicopter vision, they feel that the current workforce, the skills that they say they'll have in the next 3 years, it's moving too fast. They'll have to be upskilled, reskilled, repositioned, and so forth. So that's the other part that's coming through. In terms of the trust, I like the convergence coming there. And this is, I feel proud to be an African because as compared to global, in the hopes and the fears, they say there's more trust between employees. And I know my colleague said in Ghana, it may not be the case, but remember we're talking across Africa in this instance. There's a positive spin from where we've come from, where employees are feeling there's more trust with their leadership and stuff, similar to leaders. They've made a deliberate effort in post-COVID world to get closer to their people, spend more time, get HR to play a people management role, not human resource, a strategic people management role, brought them to the table of decision-making at a C-suite, and they're implementing lots of people initiatives. So that's a positive convergence. And maybe the last one I want to talk about is in terms of the salary thing as well. We saw from the hopes and fears that 45% of employees are really looking at asking for a salary increase or asking for a career progression. And CEOs are saying business are in turmoil times. We're going through rough spaces. We're not going to be able to entertain that kind of request and ask. So there's going to be a bit of a divergence there in terms of what the ask and what we're seeing coming from the results, and in terms of what CEOs are saying that it's not that they don't want to do it, just it's about affordability. Thank you, David.
Thank you very much. Dr. Graham, any closing comments?
Yes, Dave. There was an aspect of the report that I'm still thinking about, where only 35% believe that their skills will be relevant in the next 3 years. But at the same time, as high as 64 believe that they have job security. And I started thinking about it from where I sit. Is it that they are ready to migrate, develop their skills, and that is why they expect that their jobs will be secured? Or that generally they think, oh, nothing can be done to them, and then they will remain in employment anyway. What it means is that if the idea is that they want to develop their capacity, and as employers, we don't invest in them to do that, and they invest in themselves, we will lose them. And that is what I'm beginning to think about. If care is not taken, employers will start losing a lot of their critical skills if they themselves do not invest in them. If you don't invest in them and they invest in themselves, they will find other places and go. Because that is a very serious thing for me, and especially for the public service point of view. What it means is that, and 45% say they are coming for pay raise. What it means is that they are ready to come for money, and they are comfortable whatever they are doing. And how do we pay without productivity? So these are some of the critical takeaways that I have had from this survey. And I want to thank PwC for this opportunity. It's a wonderful survey. I've taken time to study it very well. And I think that once I find myself in a position that can influence policies, we will do our best to also ensure that we influence certain policies within the public sector for the benefit of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's clap for that. I want to say thank you to our panelists for making time. Dr. Graham, we are very grateful for making the time, and Prof, all the way from South Africa. Thank you for coming. Our in-house audience and online audience, we've come to the end of today's interactions in terms of the main findings and discussions. The future is now. Let's all, as business leaders and staff, walk into the space and be ready for the future. Thank you. See you again.
And thank you very much, David. An excellent job. Please, let's clap them down. We say that is the most seamless, or is the most seamless way to show your appreciation by clapping. Thank you. So Prof. Dalen says, take out the fear, break down AI by functions. Dr. Smith Graham also says, AI is not a technology initiative, but it's a workforce transformation agenda. So we have that as takeaways. We said at the beginning that we weren't just here to listen. We are also here to take feedback. And so literally it's time to take feedback. We would have we have a QR code here. If you could kindly do us the honors of scanning, tell us what you think. We'll be grateful for that. Okay. Maybe just some 30 seconds to do this. Okay. If you're not getting it on the screen, kindly look on your tables. You would get the printed versions. Okay. We are rounded down to the end of the program. And with these, we would have our closing remarks. I was a bit interested to see what the feedback would be, but I think we'll take it, should I say offline? Yeah. We'll have Clara. She's Clara Matthew. She's a partner with us at PwC, giving our closing remarks. Please, let's give it up for her.
Thank you, Benny. We've had a lot of insightful conversations and discussions this morning. And for me, three messages remain quite clear. First, Africa has a very young and youthful population, which is also influencing the survey results we're seeing. Quite a positive, optimistic, and future-ready workforce. Our people are learning faster. A lot of the discussions have been around AI and the use of technology, which is key. And we also see that our young people are seeking challenging opportunities to grow their career. Secondly, the pace of change is accelerating. Like the survey showed, within the next 3 years, more than a third of the survey respondents don't think that their skills, they'll need to reinvent their skills, which means as leaders, as employers, as team members, we need to make continuous upskilling, learning, and reinvention a key priority. Thirdly, human experience remains key. It's a driver for motivation, for performance, and also for meaningful work. We heard a lot of conversations around communication, trust, as well as psychological safety. It means that these concepts are no longer soft skills ideas, but they are strategic tools that we also need to implement as we go forward. So as we leave today, I would like us to commit to three things. One, investing in the skills, not only our own skills, but the skills of the people that we lead. Secondly, we need to use AI boldly and responsibly. It's a transformational tool, and it is the present as well as the future. You cannot run away from it. Thirdly, let's create workspaces where people feel engaged, valued, and inspired. The momentum shouldn't end here. The conversation shouldn't end here. These conversations should become actions which we implement in our daily work. Thank you so much for being part of these conversations. We also still have breakfast outside for anybody that missed breakfast or anybody that wants to grab a bite. Thank you so much and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Clara. Please, we can do better for Clara. Thank you. And with that, we'll dive right into our photography. We would like to engrave the moment in time. And so if our photographers are ready,